6 o'clock. How come it's not standing up? Okay, if everybody'd like to stand and join with us in the pledge and the prayer.
If you would please join with me in prayer for a moment. Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight and we ask your blessing and your guidance and help us to do what is right for the taxpayers and the employees, the department heads, and everyone involved in Kosciuszko County. We also ask special blessings on those who are in the armed services, who are fighting for our rights to freedom. Please protect them and let them go home at the end of their tours and at the end of their days to their loved ones. Also be with our emergency providers and grant them the blessing and the safety to be able to go home at night. And Lord, especially tonight with all the not-for-profit people in the room who are doing great services for our county, we ask for your blessing on their organizations also. All of this we ask in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I gotta roll my chair in my vehicle.
Okay, as we call the meeting to order, if you would all please turn off your cell phones. This isn't exactly an auction, but if we hear something from the audience, you might be buying something you didn't want, okay? And a reminder to all of the council members to please pull the microphone up to you and speak directly into it, and be sure your green light is on when you're ready to talk, because those people out there who took time to come tonight would like to hear what you have to say. So, now that we have those housekeeping things out of the way, how about approval of the minutes from 5:12?
So move.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Abstaining.
Abstain.
Because
For
you were
reason of
not
vape.
here.
Yes.
Okay, and then moving right into the nonprofits, St. Joe River Basin.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good
Hi, Matt.
evening.
My name is Matt Mearsman. I serve as the director of the St. Joseph River Basin Commission. And although the St. Joe River doesn't flow through Kosciuszko County, about a third of the county's water drains to it. We were created back in the late 80s to address water quality concerns in the river and all the lakes and streams that flow to it. We've been expanded the last couple of years to also look at flood mitigation. We are asking for, I guess on the fourth page of your packet is a table that kind of breaks down our requests among all 6 member counties of the commission. And that's in our statute. It's based on land area. So we take our operating budget, split it up based on that. And we are asking for the same amount that we asked for last year, which was $3,705. Your contributions are being matched by the state at this point in a 2-to-1. So it's a good investment from the county from that standpoint, because the money that we get from the county, we use to fund our basic operations, and then the money from the state we can use for special projects. I've got a few of those that I just want to mention tonight that are particularly relevant to Kosciuszko County here. First of all, we worked with the community of Syracuse over the last 2 years on a urban tree canopy project. First studying where planting new trees would have the most impact on stormwater retention, so to get stormwater off of the treatment plant and storm sewer system and be absorbed by trees. And then just on April 30th, we planted 50 trees in some of the locations that were identified as the highest priority, and that was all funded with some grant funding and the money that we have from the state. So the other thing that we've done since last time I saw you all was we've brought on an aquatic biologist, part-time at least, from the University of Notre Dame, and she is working on monitoring efforts on some of our more rural tributaries. We've got a lot of really good information in the urbanized area up, from South Bend all the way over to Elkhart and Goshen. But we don't have a lot of information about the health of our streams out in the country. So we've been establishing some monitoring sites where we collect bugs, and the bugs tell us how good the stream's doing. So we started there, and we've got a site on Turkey Creek just upstream of Lake Wawasee, and that was one of the higher ranking sites, which probably won't surprise many of you, but that was in really good shape. And we are looking to expand that program to not just look at water quality, but to also look at flow and quantity, so for flood mitigation. And in those cases, we'd be working with the county surveyor. I was happy to see Mike here tonight. The county's well represented on our commission. We've got the county surveyor, as well as Commissioner Groninger has a representative, the Soil and Water Conservation District, Health Department. So you've got a lot of representatives on the commission. Last thing I'll mention is just some work we've done with the Wawasee Area Conservancy Foundation, looking at wetland restoration sites that would have the highest impact on water quality in the lake, trying to identify who owns those and target some outreach efforts about programs that exist to help maybe bring those back on the landscape. With that, I'll stop. I get excited about this stuff. I want to thank you for your support that you've given us over the years. It really does allow us to do some really great things. So any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
The council has appointed a committee that will be reviewing all of these. They've met once already just to look over your information. So we will be making no decision this evening. That will come when we get closer into the budget process. But we so appreciate you being here and sharing your information. And for not very much money, Kosciuszko County gets a really good deal. So we
Appreciate
appreciate
that.
that. We appreciate that, Matt.
Thank you all.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
All right. Have a good night.
See you soon.
Let's see, the Historical Society is next.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Jim Tinky. I'm the treasurer for the Historical Society, and with me is Jerry Fresh, the president of our board. This evening, we're coming and asking for $25,000 for next year. I think the Historical Society, I'm just new on the Historical Society board. I think we're one of the best kept secrets in the county. There's a lot of good things happening over there. Not only are we the repository for historical artifacts and information, we've got a phenomenal genealogical group that supports our county and our residents that are looking to do genealogy work. And if you are a member of the Historical Society, you've seen our Thaddeus magazine that's phenomenal. Dan Copeland, our county historian, does a great job with that. We are looking for a slight increase this year due to operating cost increases, and we're seeing some capital needs coming in down the pike. And I spoke with Sue Ann yesterday about this. HVAC units are needing to be replaced. We've got a leaky section of our roof. We're looking for some computer upgrades. So there's some things that are coming down the pike beyond our normal operating budgets here in the next couple of years and we'll seek other donations. Again, most of our operating budget comes from donations, bequests, gifts, and we do appreciate what the county has done for us in the past years and look forward to continuing support. And now, Jared, if there's anything else.
Well, I do. Does everybody on the board know that we also run the pound store in Oswego?
No, I didn't know that.
See? Now, you should know that because I think your grandmother's, well, your husband's grandmother
Really?
helped get it started back in 1972.
No, that's not one of the stories they've told us yet.
And,
Well-kept secret.
It is open every Sunday afternoon during the summer. We don't have a whole lot of expenses up there, but we do have some. And we didn't get that mentioned in our report. But anyway, we've had a lot of good term words said about it when you get a chance to get up there. And we'd welcome anybody it's open from 1 to 4 every Sunday afternoon, except it won't be open Father's Day. But I was up there this past Sunday, and we had a few visitors, and they were very interested. They said they'd been past there many times and never thought about stopping, but I put that open sign out front, so they stopped.
Kind of like a garage sale sign, except better, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
That's great. That's great.
And additionally, the Chinworth Bridge is under our auspices.
All right. So
Right.
anyway, we do appreciate for anything that you do help us with. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Jerry?
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Jerry, I have a question. So
Okay.
what is your largest fundraiser and how do you advertise that or present that to the public? Other than membership, do you have a fundraiser? I know you have a couple, but do you have one that's like your largest fundraiser in the year?
I don't think we really have a planned fundraiser every year. Now, this past year, we had the
Dillinger.
Dillinger.
The Dillinger
Yeah.
this last year.
that-
Yeah.
That brought in quite a bit. And this year, we got the Speedway Now, next year, Greg, he's been the backbone behind this. He's planning on having Indians. There's a lot of Indians in this area. And so he's already starting to collect Indian relics or whatever, if you got anything to bring in to show that's unusual. And he'll be banging on all of our membership to get around and see this. But I know last year, I think it mentioned in here about how many people toured the museum last year during the Dillinger Days. And there's a lot of people in 2 days almost matched what we got the previous year. So,
I don't think we have any, traditional fundraisers like chicken barbecues, that kind of thing. I think we do see a lot of grants from foundations or bequests from individuals. We don't charge for genealogy services, but a lot of times we'll get a donation for somebody that we've helped put together genealogy background for them. That's a big thing. So
One of the mission points I noticed in here that directly affects us is number 8. It says caring for thousands of court record books from the courthouse, cleaning, sorting, repairing, cataloging, preserving, and making these books accessible to the public, and that's appreciated.
we do have a lot of volunteer hours that are not unpaid volunteer hours, so people help us. And I know we worked with, also another thing, we worked with Bill Holder in the GIS, identifying cemeteries,
Cemeteries.
headstones, that type of thing, tying into the GIS. That's been a
Great
several
program.
years. So.
Can you let us in on the levels of membership opportunities you have?
how many?
Well, what's your opportunity levels? Obviously, there's probably an annual or,
Oh, we have, an annual membership is $25.
okay,
And you get a Thaddeus 4 times a year with that. We do have lifetime memberships, I believe that's
6 1/4.
6 1/4, yeah. But,
Hopefully you're all members if you aren't.
Yeah.
I mean, the Thaddeus is a phenomenal.
Mike is a
Yeah.
lifetime membership. I got him last year.
I couldn't tell him no.
It's worth the price of the membership for the book.
Yes.
Yeah,
Dan Copeland does a great
yeah,
job.
yeah.
Yes.
Good job, good job. Anybody have anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
being here. And the 4-H Council.
They're waiting on guidance.
Is that called ducks in a row?
It is. And they got a lot better stuff to say than I do, so I'll make my part quick. And I'm not Andrew Farrell. Andrew is at 4-H he's at a 4-H camp at Camp Epworth Forest with, he's got like a dozen 4-Hers there. So he's got the joy of sleeping with them. I don't think they sleep in tents anymore, though. Thank you for your continued support of the 4-H Extension Program and the youth outreach program that we do. We probably went through one of the lower membership, if not the lowest membership enrollees the last couple of years because of social groups that weren't able to get together. And amazingly, this year, we're going into nearly one of our highest, if not our highest, enrollee year. The group is doing great. We've got Andrew in place. He has got the ball rolling. He's reached out. These are junior leaders. They are a group that also continues. We've got, I can't remember the exact number. Andrew shared it with you, but it's somewhere in the range of 150 mini 4-Hers. This is a group that works with them to bring them on up into a full membership. We've got the updated number on the 4-H enrollee memberships this year is 555, and that is way above where we were at the last 2 years and above where we were at over the last 5 years. The last point of mine is within that, we are asking for a 2% increase. That is primarily to help us cover overhead costs, which the main one that continues to go up on us is the memorandum of agreement with the county fair. That would be the primary one outside of a few others. But what you get with that is we're allowed to bring the groups and have a social gathering spot to work with them on general projects throughout the year. With that, I'll turn it over to this group of junior leaders to share their experience with the 4-H program, and then if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you.
Hello, I am Hayden Leckleitner, and I'm a 6-year 4-H member. And so I'm going to share some of the experiences that I have and from all the stuff that I've learned. And I've not been in it for that long as the others have, but I've learned a lot from it. And one of the biggest things that I can take away from it is it teaches you a lot of hard work, and that using your hard work pays off. And through all the things that you can do, just it teaches you that for all stages in life, and it just continues to change me and help me. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Reese Rowland, and this is my 9th year, and I'm currently serving as the junior leader president. So I've learned a lot from this past year serving as the president, and a lot of leadership skills that come with 4-H and lifelong friends, as you can see. It's been a huge experience for me, and I hope that you guys have learned a lot also, and serving our community as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Caleb Bleckleitner. This is my 8th year in 4-H. I'm a junior at Northwood, or will be a junior at Northwood. But the leadership that 4-H has taught me over the years is something that I don't think I could find or learn just from school or anything like that. So I started out as a junior leader, and I started as a mini 4-H'er learning projects, and then as I got into 4-H, learned about the Junior Leader Project and what that had to offer. I served a term as president and vice president, and then through that, I've been able to serve as an Indiana 4-H ambassador. So I am the one of the only 10 4-H'ers in the state that represent 4-H from a statewide aspect. So we have made many decisions and stuff like that about how we plan to change 4-H, make it a better experience for all the other 4-H members, and that's something that I couldn't do without 4-H. Thank you.
So you would be one of the people we might expect to maybe sit at these kind of tables at some point, huh?
Hopefully.
That's right. Well, we'll keep our eye out.
My name is Reagan Rowland. I'm currently not in 4-H. I was a 10-year 4-H member. I currently go to Purdue University. I'll be a junior this coming fall. I got asked to come just to show how 4-H impacted me and how it's impacted me throughout my college career. So, of course, as a 10-year 4-H member, I showed beef cattle, and I did other various projects. I gained so many leadership skills that have really taken me into college in different clubs and everything at Purdue. And I also gained so many friends, and they've become family. And just the responsibility that I've gained has really made me impact my college also.
Great
Thank you.
testimony, honey. Thank you.
I am Jackson. I'm a 10-year 4-H member, so I'm a junior actually in Purdue, as Reagan is. And I just wanted to tell you, like, the foundation that the organization has built in me is just hard to explain, because it's been so perfect that it's supported me through my college careers, and it's totally helped me build friendships, and kind of being in an ag major, it's easy to talk to other ag people and kind of relate to what their experiences were, and it's kind of cool because we're all one big family throughout the state of Indiana, and it's really nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for me or any of this group here?
Well, I must say, Tyler, that's a lot better turnout than you had on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I do have
We've
a,
recruited since then.
I do have a question for you. At the commissioners meeting, they were talking about work that you guys are doing with Baker's Boys Club or Youth Club. Could you explain some of that? Because that was really impressive and interesting.
Isn't that the STEM program?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, so that's part of the STEM program, and I probably can't explain as well as Andrew would, but Andrew and Tammy Boggs, through the STEM program, work with Baker Youth Club, the YMCA, and they've also connected with Grace College to do some outreach programs through that, and it's youth outreach programs.
Yeah, I'll kind of explain a little bit more. So the STEM program, I've actually helped out multiple of the Saturday camps and other like Thursday camps, and so it has helped grow the individuals and also help them promote 4-H through Baker's Youth Club.
So there's a sign of leadership. She wasn't afraid to step up and help you out and share her knowledge.
Yeah.
Great job, honey.
Yeah.
Great
And
job.
at your annual meeting, I noticed it was great because you had some robotics exhibitions
Yes.
at the annual meeting that you had, and it was really amazing. It showed what the STEM program is doing, and it was very insightful.
Tammy and Andrew have taken a robotics program and iPads that have been purchased through STEM grants, the majority of it. And they go into Baker's Youth Club, YMCA, and different organizations to just work with the youth. And it has impacted, many of those have enrolled in 4-H as a result also.
That's awesome.
Cool programs.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I do have a question too on the lease. You said that that keeps raising. Do you know how much it raised from 22 to 21? We probably have that information somewhere, but.
I do not know off the top of my head. The treasurer for the 4-H Council is Barry Ostrom. He would be able to tell me exactly, but I was thinking it's going up somewhere in the range of 2,000 to 3,000. I believe, don't hold me to that, but it continues to increase, and they're already discussing increase for next year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much for your
Thank you.
input.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Matt with Cardinal Center. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Matt Boren. I wish I would have been in 4-H. Pretty impressive bunch. Want to start by just thanking the county for your continued support of the work that Cardinal Services does. It is not lost on us that we could not do the work we do without partners like the county, and so we just really appreciate the opportunity to be here. This year, for calendar year 2023, Cardinal is requesting $108,129. Those dollars will be specifically used for the support of our operations for our programs. Every year, we do like to plan and dedicate the dollars from the county specific to some of the programs that are in need and that have countywide impact. And so for 2023, we have 3 programs that we selected that will, for the most part, get equal shares of those funds. The first is Head Start and Early Head Start. And this program serves approximately 200 students every year. These are students that are coming to us from families that make, to give you an idea, a family of 4 to be eligible for this program can't make more than $27,750. So imagine raising 4 kids with today's costs on that money. And so they're really needing this support, needing this service. We have 3 classrooms at our Warsaw location, but then we also have classrooms embedded throughout the county in some of the elementary schools. So we have classrooms at North Webster, Lincoln, Leesburg, Claypool, and Mentone. And what's really cool about that is those kids and those families get the chance to be acclimated to the school that they're going to, grow up in. This really is a holistic program that comes at it from education, but also ensures that the medical health of the child and the support of the family is included in that. The second program is Healthy Families. And Healthy Families is a program where we actually send certified staff into the homes of the participants. And the real goal at the end of the day is to come alongside those families that might have some really big challenges or struggles and work with them to decrease the possibility of child abuse or the occurrence of child abuse. And so, this program, when done right, has a profound impact on those kids and their development. Each year we serve about 50 to 60 families throughout the county. And a lot of this is all about referring those families to the right supports in our county. So we work with so many partners and other agencies and get people connected with the services and supports they need. And then finally, the last program is one you're very familiar with because you are the owners. It is the Kosciuszko Area Bus Service. This calendar year 2021, we actually had 36,906 rides, which is a 17% increase over 2020, but still isn't back to where we've historically been. Usually we're around 60,000 rides a year. A lot of that being lower has to do with just the effects of the pandemic, but also a struggle to hire drivers because of the wages we're able to offer. So working at ways to increase that wage and stay competitive. What's really important about the dollars that the county provides us for cabs is that each one of those dollars can be used to pull down a federal dollar. So NDOT requires that for every federal dollar we have some sort of local match or state match for that. And so those dollars have huge impact. So, we're honored to be able to do the work that we do in this county. We absolutely cherish the individuals we're able to work with. We're up to about 6,000 families that Cardinal impacts every year. And we couldn't do that without you. So thank you so much. And thanks for letting us come today and present.
Great appreciation from the community for all that you do for so many people. I know lots of people who are involved, and that's a great benefit for them.
Matt, could you give a little update on the renovation project?
Yeah, I
We
can.
heard about that today, so I thought maybe
Yep.
this would be a great chance for you to share a little more about that.
Well, we actually have Vicki Ludens in the room who's responsible for all that great work. We are entering the public face of our capital campaign to renovate our building to be more of a community center and really be better equipped to connect people that we serve with their community by creating some really purposeful spaces that allow that to happen. So it's an $8 million campaign. We're 85% of the way there, so we're entering our public phase. If you drive by, you'll notice we've got some people already on the roof doing some work, and we'll be getting started right away with construction. Because we're probably going to have to phase some of that because we'll still be operating out of the building, we're anticipating that our ribbon cutting will be spring or summer of 2024. But really excited to be underway there.
That's awesome.
I had a question on this Head Start. I had it on Tuesday when you actually spoke. You say the guideline for a family to qualify is around $27,750?
That's for a family of 4, so it's all dependent on how large that household is.
Do you see that changing along with inflation, or is it remaining stagnant?
It changes, but it's delayed. So many of the programs that we provide are based on a certain percentage of poverty. And so usually those adjustments lag behind what families are actually experiencing. What's unique is we're seeing a lot of changes with the students coming to Head Start. One of the things we've noticed, 2 trends we've noticed, is we're seeing more and more percentage of those students that are actually considered homeless because they don't have an actual address and bounce between family. And then we're also seeing an increased amount of mental health diagnoses for these students. And these are 3 to 5-year-olds that have an actual diagnosable mental illness because some of the trauma or struggles that they've had in their childhood. So, I hope that gets adjusted, but it's always a little bit behind.
Okay.
Matt, how large is your fleet of cab buses, and do you have like a system they'll trade them in after so many miles or years? Or?
Yes, so we run 8 routes, but we do have some backup vehicles that we're able to use when one's down or getting maintenance. Usually we participate in a federal program that replaces those buses every year when they hit around 100,000 miles or 3 years. Because of the pandemic, that's actually been put on hold, so we've skipped a year or 2. But the match that we do for that, the FTA actually pays for 80% of that, and then we find 20% local match. So the county, the city, others have been asked at times to match that 20% to bring those vehicles in so that we always have accessible, reliable vehicles ready to go. So the whole fleet is handicap accessible.
Matt, I have,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, I have a quick question about your Healthy Families program. How do you identify the families that are going to participate in that program?
So this entire program is based on referral only. So a family might end up having a child at the hospital. In fact, one of my favorite testimonies is a young lady who came into Cardinal Services because she was 20 years old and she was having a child unplanned and was really scared. And while at the hospital, they said, "Would you like to participate in Healthy Families?" And she said, "Absolutely." So it's referral-based, doctor's offices, hospital. One of our other programs, WIC, is actually one of our largest referrals to the Healthy Families program too. So,
Thank you.
And then I had a question. You had mentioned when you had talked about the CABS program that our dollars are matched dollar for dollar from the federal government. is that just for the CABS program or for the other programs? And you just mentioned it at the
Yeah.
CABS program.
There are some matches in our other programs, but what I was talking about is specific to the formula for public transportation. So, yeah.
Anybody have anything else? Thank you very much.
Yeah,
ma'am.
thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you very much.
And home health care, Glenn. Good
Ladies
evening,
and
Glenn.
gentlemen, thank you
Good
for
evening.
giving me the opportunity to be here. Once again, I apologize for my voice. It's allergy season. So, I too, like all of the other agencies, want to thank you for your past and continued support of Kosciuszko Home Care and Hospice. And the fact is, we could not provide the services that we do as a labor of love to our county without your support. Over many years, even prior to 5 years ago, which seems impossible to me, when I came on board, Kosciuszko Home Care and Hospice has operated at a net operating loss every year. And no business can sustain that kind of loss year after year after year. And so at the end of 2021, during our budgeting process, we had to take a long, hard look at our business, determine what are the things that are most important that we do, where can we cut our overhead costs the most, and what programming might not be covered in our county. And so we made a very conscious decision to refocus our home care efforts on palliative care. Palliative care is for those patients who are either terminally ill or chronically ill, but maybe they want to continue to pursue aggressive treatment. So they're not ready for hospice yet, because with hospice, aggressive treatment stops. Or maybe they're just mentally not ready for hospice yet. And as of the first of the year, for any patient who needed palliative care, they needed to travel to Fort Wayne, South Bend, Goshen, Elkhart, to a palliative clinic. We now are setting up a structure and developing that program where we can provide that palliative care in the home so that they don't have to travel. We're getting off to a decent start. We made some tough choices in cutting our overhead, our administrative overhead, and stopping some duplication of efforts. Our ask from the county this year is the same as last year. We're asking for $50,000. We did not increase our ask, but we do use every penny that the county provides us in keeping our agency going. My staff, just to give you an idea, last year, my staff drove over 122,000 miles just in the confines of our county. And of those 122,000 miles, we made over 11,000 visits to patient homes. And of those visits, about 6% of those were non-billable, either because the patient denied service, the patient wasn't home, the patient wasn't homebound, so we couldn't bill for those services. But at the same time, we want to provide those services to make sure that we're providing that loving, exceptional care that keeps people in their home as long as possible, up to and including end-of-life issues. And so we're asking for your support once again for next year, and we would greatly appreciate it. Any questions? What can I answer for you?
Anybody have any questions? Great service that you provide.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
It really is a calling, and I do believe that the staff who provide our care, it takes a special nurse to provide in-home care and hospice care. And we're very proud of the work that we do. So thank you for your continued support.
I do
Thank
have a
you.
quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
How many nurses do you have on staff?
Currently, I have 4 full-time staff members and then 2 part-time who can fill in. And they can work, that's the other thing that's kind of important with the changes we made. Before, we really worked kind of 2 separate sides of the house, the home care side and the hospice side, and they didn't cross over much. But one of the things that I have done is to combine that pool, and now we're cross-training so that any one of the nurses can provide any one of those services that we need. So we have 4 full-time nurses and 2 part-time nurses. We also have a couple of nurses who are in administrative roles who could see a patient if we needed to. They're still
Great.
credentialed to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Great,
much.
thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Good to
Thank
see
you.
you all.
Glenn.
The Beaman Home.
Hi, I'm April Sloan. I'm the mental health counselor. This is our new executive director, Renee. but she's only a week and a day in, so you guys.
Well, congratulations, Renee.
No feet to the fire, huh?
I was like, here you go.
She wrote the grant, so I said,
The Beeman Home is the local domestic violence shelter. We've been in Kosciuszko County for 36 years. We did ask for an increase, and that increase, well, what we asked for helps with our operating costs for the emergency shelter. And our emergency shelter is the foundation of all our programs. So without our emergency shelter, we really don't have any programs because it offers safety for people fleeing domestic violence. And if the person is not safe, then they can't move toward all the other changes that we help provide. Inside the shelter, we house a 24-hour crisis line. So anybody who is in need of services, regardless if they're needing shelter or not, they can call the crisis line, and we have trained advocates 24 hours a day that staff the shelter that can help with that. We also offer individualized case management to everybody we serve, which happens our clients are 80% from Kosciuszko County. So with the case management, they help them find housing, they help them set goals, utilize community resources. We offer mental health counseling free of charge to anyone who is facing mental health crisis and is a victim of trauma. That is my specialty, is trauma. We also offer a lot of classes, support and educational classes to help make the change. So we're always facing the obstacle of how can we offer an environment that they feel empowered to make healthy choices. So that's where all our education and our classes and our case management put a lot of their time. Is there any questions?
Does anybody have any questions?
I just want to make a comment. I noticed in their narrative that a large loss of the revenue has been through the United Way, which is unique to your organization only, and also to the VOCA fund.
I'm sorry.
The VOCA grant.
The VOCA
And the
grant.
United Way is where you had mentioned that you had lost funding.
Yeah, we had lost funding because we didn't meet their criteria, which a lot of nonprofits in the community face that same hurdle. Our VOCA grant, we did get back, and instead of the 20% decrease, I believe it was about 12% decrease, so that was good news. We heard that yesterday. But that is our largest grant, so over 2 years, we are going to be losing, what's the dollar amount? Like around $75,000 off of our VOCA grant, and then the 45 from United Way.
And as far as counseling, do you use the Bowen Center in any way, or is it a different kind of counseling that?
With the counseling, we do refer Bowen. A lot of times, since they're already in shelter, they'll feel more comfortable meeting with a staff counselor. And I work with outreach clients for counseling also. One thing that sets me aside is there isn't a real waiting list. I can adjust my schedule so they don't have a 2-week waiting period. And immediately in shelter, if they're having an anxiety attack, I'm there to assist them. Or if they're having self-harm or suicidal thoughts, I'm right there in the facility to help them.
Congratulations, Renee.
Thank you for your services to the community.
Does anybody have any
thank you.
questions?
No, this is something that's very necessary, so thank you for all that you do.
The shelter is nearly full right now, so it's amazing to me coming into this role, the dire need that is out there. Sorry, I said it's amazing to me that the dire need is out there for this service, and so our shelter is nearly full right now, and it's projected to stay that way. An average stay is 24 days to 45 days.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And next is the senior services.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So good to be
David.
here. I really appreciate the past and present support that the county counselors and the county commissioners have given us. Probably most not-for-profits don't plug another not-for-profit when I'm standing up here, but I want to reiterate that Glenn Hall's organization, Kosciuszko Home Care and Hospice, yes, they do that many miles. I saw one of his nurses clear out in Etna Green, taking care of a person that I was checking on, and it happened to be the same nurse that took care of my dad, Phil, for his end-of-life care, and so they just do an excellent job. So thank you, Glenn. Most of you know, and I want to thank, there's a lot of people in this room that volunteer for home-delivered meals. That is greatly appreciated. But I'll go over my 3 programs that I think everyone's familiar with. We have home-delivered meals, we have transportation, and we have the Senior Activity Center. Home-delivered meals, we do approximately 80 meals a day. They're 7, 8 different routes now. We cover the whole county, and this is a big county. The home-delivered meals is important not just for the nutritional value of a hot meal. It gives the senior a chance to see someone else. And during COVID, that's been major. We implemented the drop and stop at the height of COVID with Teresa Reed from the Health Department. On her advice, and I'm very proud of this, the volunteers continued all through COVID, and we didn't drop a meal. So all the routes were delivered. To the best of my knowledge, no one contracted COVID. You know, we made the volunteers keep a distance from the seniors, and so that has just been an excellent program for us. But the other aspect of home-delivered meals is the socialization. The seniors get a chance to see somebody, and the isolations that they experienced for the last 2.5 years has been brutal on the senior population. I did the demographics, and in Kosciuszko County, from the age of 5 to 18, which would be school-age children, and then compare it to 60 and over, which is what I take care of, it's about the same amount of people. And a lot of people don't realize that. But I'm also very proud that there's been at least 7 years I've been doing this now, Sue Ann, is that possible? There's been at least 10 cases where the volunteers have found someone either down, not responsive, out on their feet, and there's a process that we do to make sure, you know, whether it's a 911 call or an emergency contact that we call, depending on the severity of what that volunteer sees. To have a set of eyes on that vulnerable senior 5 days a week is just as important in my book as the meals. The other program I would like to talk about is our transportation. We partner with CABS, which is what all not-for-profits should do, is collaborate where it's possible. CABS mechanic does our maintenance work. The money that we spend for our maintenance work and repairs can go for Matt's local match. So to me, that's an excellent way of collaboration with not-for-profits. Plus, he's got a darn good mechanic working for him too. So they've got the bays that can take care of our vehicles, and we just do all our work with them. Our service is a little bit different than CABS since we're 60 and over. We are their curb to curb, we're door to door. That simply means that our drivers will help seniors carry groceries. They'll help seniors push wheelchairs. And just anticipating a question from over this direction, we have 5 vehicles. We have 2 vans and 3 buses, all of which are handicap accessible. Since I've been here, we've acquired 4 new and increased our number from, when I started, we only had 4 vehicles. We now have 5, which allows a great deal of flexibility. We've been able to get those vehicles with no money out of what you give, what the county gives, I should say. We've written grants to NDOT with an 80% that they pay. And then with all 4 of the new vehicles, we have gotten a 20% from K-21 for the local match. So we've been able to pay for those without any operation funds being used. The third program that we have is a Senior Activity Center. That's where people come in, they can get a meal 5 days a week, they can socialize. That program kind of works with transportation because we bring seniors in. These are seniors that would stay at home. And when you're a senior staying at home, 1 day becomes 3, 3 days becomes 7, and before you know it, you've gone a month or 2 without even seeing someone. And, I had about 70 in the Senior Activity Center, the Pete Thorne Building today, and I asked them all, I said, how bad is inflation hitting you? Oh, you should have heard. And so we are asking for an increase up to 40,000. When you drive home, look at the gas prices and, at 5.25 right now, and who knows where it's gonna stop. That's not what we budgeted for. But the seniors that are having to pay these prices at the grocery store and at the gas pump, the ones that still drive, it's really hurting them hard. It's not, they had COVID for 2.5 years to deal with, and now they have this rampant inflation that's really almost crisis level for our seniors. Most of our seniors are lower socioeconomic in all 3 of our programs. So, Kim, would you like me to talk about our fundraising activities?
Yes, did you have one yesterday?
I had one last night. Aging Connections of Michiana is an organization that Glenn is a member of and I'm a member of that helps with agencies that deal with seniors. And we had a really nice boat ride despite the rain on the SS Lily Pad. And they had a silent auction for us that raised the money. And we hope to do that every year and increase the amount. It has been rough during COVID for fundraisers. I mean, traditional fundraisers, you get a big group. We had, how many people remember Wolfgang's Restaurant? Yeah. Kenny Hawk was Wolfgang's son. He's one of my drivers. I'm like, I have a resource. And so when we started, we would have breakfasts that were fundraiser. Well, we couldn't do that during COVID. We're going to work at a different angle for some fundraisers, but I think we're going to get those up and going again to raise money some different ways. So at this point, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions? David, you have done a miraculous job
Yes.
with the seniors.
thank you, Sue-Ann.
You have been the spark plug that they needed to get them moving.
Can I
and
tease you a little bit?
Appreciate you. Yeah.
When I first applied for the job, she looked at my resume and said, he doesn't have the right experience.
No, I did not.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, David.
Okay, moving right along, we're ready to talk about the ARPA committee recommendation. And I don't know, Carrie, do you want to share on the Animal Welfare League what we decided, or do you want us to just do it? I didn't know if you wanted to or not.
Yeah, the ARPA committee, well, we actually just met today, but it's been almost 3-4 weeks ago, I guess, that we met. And one of the people that come in front of us was the AWL, Animal Welfare League, on a cat house that they have, which is an existing facility that's there. So we're just excited about finding those niches that we can use our ARPA funds that really have an impact countywide, and really able to use those monies that are going to help us in the long term and have a lasting effect. We felt as though this was one of those things that met that criteria. It is something that the county does have to provide these services for. So it is something that we feel as though that set our goal, what we were trying to look for in the ARPA committee. So we gave it a, I think, a unanimous vote to support, and the commissioners also voted for that this last meeting. So.
Carrie, I have a question.
Yes.
In regards to the amount, is it my understanding that that's the balance of the mortgage for that particular renovation that they did, so it takes that pressure off them?
And I'll probably let him talk more on the details, but I think it's to finish that renovation of the existing.
To finish the renovation.
You know, the existing building that was there when they bought the property, this is renovating that existing facility. Now, they still have a debt on their new facility.
Okay.
But this is to finish they call it the cat house, don't take that the wrong way. But to finish the renovation for that, so mainly, I think, tin, roof, and other things, and a lot of the exterior things is what we're trying to finish up, correct?
Yeah, John, do you want to come up
Yeah,
and
so-
share? Thank you, Carrie.
He's not a big fan of cats.
He's a dog guy.
John Lance, Board President, Animal Welfare League. With me here today is Dan Woods, our great treasurer. I joined the board about a year ago. I come from 6 years of nonprofit leadership in Allen County for a small nonprofit. So when I moved here about a year and a half ago, I asked my way, took several asks to get on the board of the Animal Welfare League. So we love living here. It's great. And word on the street is now we're getting 2 Italian restaurants. So that's all great news. I'm going to give you a short update about the things we're doing to improve the shelter and improve our standing within the community. With the help of John Hall and Dan Woods, we're rebuilding our board with some contributing directors. One is a 20-something board member who's Director of Communications and Marketing for the Chamber. We've got a bank officer we just got on board and a former treasurer for Warsaw Community Schools. I just interviewed 2 20-something board candidates. One of them is really sharp. So in Allen County, in those 6 years, through an organization called Young Leaders in Northeast Indiana, I brought on 7 20-something board members through our organization. They bring a lot of energy and drive. Strong boards make strong nonprofits. I got like this in front of the Webster Town Council last week. So Doc says it's my low thyroid. I still get upset when Henry Blake's plane goes down in MASH. So we got a great new executive director, Tanya Blanchard. Left her business, family business. She co-owned to come work for Peanuts and take over at the shelter last year. And that's when our big turnaround has started. She's created a great family culture there with her employees. And this culture is needed. You all know what today's employment environment is like. So to retain a good employee is really tough. Most of our employees are just making $9 an hour. That's all, not very much to scoop poop. So one of Tanya's programs, and you'll see in the handouts I provided inside the annual report, is the Shelter Buddies Literacy Program. So last month we had 21 kids sign up to come and read out loud to our shelter pets. This has been going on for maybe 5-6 months now. We got some great pictures there. They really get a kick out of that. So after giving a presentation to the Warsaw Community Public Library, they've asked to partner with us on some events this summer, reading events at our shelter. So we're excited about that. Tanya has also implemented a new senior pets program for senior citizens. Pets are so important. We always preach this in my last nonprofit. They're so important for the health and well-being of seniors. They keep them up, they keep them active, they gotta potty them, they gotta feed them, and they provide unconditional love. I also handed out our first ever annual report. Got some great statistics in there. Only 30 animals euthanized last year. Pretty proud of that. We're sharing our finances to the community. Talk about the Cat House Project, and we thank our donors. Last year, we took in about 1,300 pets, and after a very, very busy May, I know somebody asked me if we were, I think it was Carrie asked me if we were on track to do more this year, and we're right now at this pace, we're gonna exceed that by 200 animals. So a lot going on there. Every pet that comes in gets a wellness check, microchips, spay, neuter, any health care, and last year that was $77,000 we spent on animal care. So we're proud to share all this with our community. Last year, we joined the chamber to help us network more in the community, and that's brought some opportunities to us. We're making rounds to town councils. I just booked Pierceton and Syracuse for next week. And just tell them about the great things we're doing and ask for financial support for those that don't give us any money. North Webster donates pretty good to us, so that's why that was a thank you tour. Last year, well, in the last 10 months, we've written 7 grants and received 3 of those grants for about $17,000. The last one was $4,300 to purchase fundraising software. This was from the Community Foundation, K21, and DECO that combined resources for these grants. So this new software is going to take us out of the dark ages and having 68 spreadsheets out there with all our information on it. It'll be in one spot. It's going to help us tremendously when, after the Cat House project, we're going to start focusing on our $485,000 mortgage we still have. So it's a big debt we inherited there. Fundraisers wise, we've got a bunch of small ones on the circuit this year. We're trying to come up with a big one. A friend of mine called me from Steuben County this week, and that shelter had their big casino night with the Trines sponsoring it. $138,000 they made. So we got a big goal in front of us to try and beat that. We've been working with the national organization Best Friends Animal Society, and joined as a shelter partner. They sent their Midwest strategist to sit down with us, and we learned a lot. There's some online programs that our employees are going to use to increase their knowledge and skill sets. They taught us about enrichment programs to keep these bored shelter animals entertained, so to speak. The big program we're starting with is frozen Kongs, if you know what that is, for dogs with peanut butter inside, and it'll keep them mentally stimulated for a few hours anyway. We got 60 Kongs on the way right now. And Best Friends likes what we're doing there. They are working on qualifying us as a regional model shelter for the Midwest, so other shelters can come and learn from us. So pretty proud of that. So I'll get to the Cat House, and while the new shelter is a great improvement from the old shelter, which I've just seen pictures, it just wasn't designed to address how we house our cats. They're right next to the barking dogs all the time. Our intake for cats, they're right in the same room with dogs. And we need to be able to isolate cats, any pet, when they come in to make sure they don't have any diseases that can get into our population. We had a ringworm incident last year, shut us down 3 months for adopting cats out, and that hurt us tremendously. So the new project is the idea of board member Dr. Carla Carlton from Lake City Vet, great lady. And under her direction, we'll exceed the recommended standards set forth by the COA Shelter Medicine Program of the University of California, Davis, the leaders in animal medicine. And this is fear-free paint and all the great things we're doing in there to make it a nice, quiet, happy place with great ventilation. We've already replaced all the old windows. We've added some new ones, so we got natural light coming in for them. And we've already raised $12,000 for this exterior renovation and HVAC renovation from the Bradway Fund and the Community Foundation. So we're thankful for that. There's some pictures showing the old shelter. We've got to peel that metal off and the roof off, replace the rotten soffits, and then we need a couple of new HVAC systems. Geez, talk about skyrocketing cost. So I got my 5th quote today. We've had 2 vendors pull their quotes out. But, yeah, it's scary the way these things have gone up. We also need a smoke fire security system and a few exterior doors. So the pictures will show you that the suites in the front rooms, right now, those are full of moms and kittens. We've got 200 cats in our care, a little over 200, and about 97 in our nursery nannies program. That's with 3 ladies. We're holding classes to educate new nannies. I went to one of them. Tony stopped into one. It takes a lot to feed those little rascals, you know, when they fit in the palm of your hand, so to bottle feed them. So 587 nonprofits in our county, and animal welfare donations are in the bottom 3% of how people donate, according to last year's Giving USA report. And so we learned this in a great seminar this spring that was given by Brenda Rigdon from the Community Foundation. So we got to fight hard. Lastly, next year is 25 years as a nonprofit. So, any questions?
I have a question, and that's kind of a two-part question.
Okay.
With your new facility, how many cats and dogs can you comfortably handle with your supplies and with your staff, do you feel?
Well, we're at peak right now. So that's why we need to get more fosters in our program. Last count, we just had 11 dogs out in foster programs, but we're working hard always for that. That's going to be part of our new website as an educational thing. We had a lady this week that brought in 6 little tiny kittens, and when they're that young, the mom won't leave them. But people don't understand that. They put them in a box and bring them to us. So they need to stay with their mom until they get old enough.
And then the second part of my question is, are you strictly Kosciuszko County cats and dogs, or do you take any cats and dogs from any other city or?
We do for a larger fee, and North Manchester pays us to take their animals. They're a great town council down there made that deal with us.
That's where I kind of laid, and I'd heard that.
Yes,
Manchester, but I didn't know what kind of arrangement you had with them.
Yeah, they're on my speaking tour to thank them. I met somebody from their council. They do a great job down there, but they're referring them up here because their shelter's not very good. So, any other questions?
No, but I'd like to add, I actually made a surprise visit there today to see for myself the going on, and I have not witnessed a better run facility.
Thank you.
Any that I've visited. I mean, literally, the last shelter I was in, I mean, you couldn't stand the stench. I couldn't even smell a cat or a dog. And, I mean, immaculate throughout. The personnel, the staff just seemed to be so laid back and comfortable with visiting with each other and talking to each other. It's a great run facility.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Thank you very much. They work together as a great team, a lot of passion. That's what it takes. So, any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Appreciate all your
Yeah,
support.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
So Ernie and I serve on the ARPA committee, and it was our thinking that this was something that we could do to help another unit of what we are responsible for at the county level. So at this point, Ernie, anything you want to share?
No, I mean, this is near and dear to my heart. And I'd make the recommendation to approve the $68,460 request.
I'd
And I'll
second
second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Passed unanimously. Thank you. Okay, moving right along, the Veteran Service Officer.
Daryl's here as well. This is the additional appropriation that we have to have approved for, to add 8 hours a week for the rest of the year. It covers 17 and a half pay periods. That's what we'd be short, and those hours have already been approved by the Wage Committee, and it's been through the process. I just say that we're really lucky to have Daryl. He has a real passion for serving our veterans. He's willing to work a little longer every week to help them out. Is there anything you want to add, Daryl?
A man of few words. I understand that things are going well in the county and that people are impressed with the service you're delivering. So thank you very much.
I've heard the same
Yeah.
Yeah.
things, so thanks, Daryl. With that, I'd make a motion to approve.
So, second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Moriarty.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am here tonight to ask for a additional appropriation out of the Highway MVH General to fuel and lubrications. This is for the, of course, the increase in fuel. I'm asking for an additional of $200,000 to move over there.
No, is that enough to get you through the rest of the year?
I pray. It's close. I'll give you one example. I know I probably should let you answer first, but just before I came over, we signed one for off-road diesel fuel, which is normally cheaper for a tanker. It's $36,517, and that was the lowest bid. That's shocking.
A tanker
What
of
would it-
diesel.
Yeah, off-road diesel fuel.
What would it have
buying
been
tanker-
last year?
About 21 was
Yeah.
our higher.
I was buying tanker loads 5 years ago for $6,000.
Yeah,
Wow.
and that's no joke. So.
Okay, at this point, excuse me, at this point, we need a motion to approve the additional appropriation.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously. So I have one little thing I want to say, and I know you want to say it too. Some of you may have saw that Debbie Winger was honored by the LTAP for her years of service and won an award. And from there, I'm going to let you take it because I know you know the details, sir.
So Miss Debbie was awarded by IAGS for Administrative Employee of the Year. So out of all 92 counties, she got this award and went down to Indianapolis, I believe it was June 3rd, and accepted it. What a great honor for her to be recognized throughout the state for what she does. A lot of highway departments send their office managers over to talk to Miss Debbie to see how we do things because of the ship we run, the ship that she runs. And the dedication that she gives to the guys, she does truly treat us like family. And she takes care of us and takes care of all the taxpayers. When you call in, she's always very pleasant. You know, it's always, this is Debbie County Highway, and she's always interested in what anyone has to say. So I'm very pleased and proud to have her a part of our staff and part of our county. We're very fortunate, so.
We are to have somebody with that longevity who
yeah.
still cares. That's great. Sure appreciate her service.
Okay, I have two more transfers. You want me to do both of these together since they do? I'm wanting to transfer money from a truck driver that we've had 3 empty holes this year that we couldn't fill with truck drivers. We filled them and left, and they've been back. I'd like to transfer some of that part-time money, exactly $19,000 for 2 of them to part-time help. This is not increase in hours. It is just to transfer to cover the cost for the normal hours we do every year.
And I provided you with a calculation sheet that Steve provided for me earlier today. And what he has in his budget for this year was not what he had in the budget for the prior year. Well, it was what he had in his budget. He had done transfers into it as well. So that's why the numbers look like it's a lot more than what we had said. But this is going to take care of it and should get him to the end of the year with no further concerns.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Steve.
Hey, thank you very much,
Steve.
guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along. Emergency Management, Ed Rock.
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
I had submitted to each of you the grant proposal form and a letter of intent And this is based on our multi-hazard mitigation plan. It is time, the 5 years is up, and we need to basically rewrite it. As in the past, the state has always gotten funding for that, although they do warn us that in the future, that funding may disappear. But having said that, this is a 20% match grant, but in the past, what we've been able to do is use the hours that are worked on this by the volunteers from the various jurisdictions, because we need all of those jurisdictions involved with this. We'll write the grant, we will hire a contractor, that contractor will then start scheduling and contacting all of these jurisdictions. From that point, then, we start putting together, here's what changes have happened. Obviously, population changes and traffic flow, whatever needs to be adjusted on the old one. And then we will use those hours that people dedicated to this project as an in-kind match. Yes?
On your letter, it has 25% match. So is it a 20% match or 25%?
I'm sorry, I believe this is I have the original letter. If I had a magnifying glass, I could read it. Oh, I am sorry, you're right, it is a 25% match.
I don't think that
And
makes
we
any
will
difference,
still
but
be
I just want to
No,
make sure.
I appreciate that.
Okay, does anybody have any questions of Ed?
How long does this take?
Uh,
Well, I mean,
No, it's a
How many
good
months
question,
or-
because the last time we did this, we had about 8 revises on it, because the state kept kicking stuff back, and when they came back to us and said, hey, why isn't North Webster in this? And the reason is because we hadn't had any signatures from anyone from North Webster. But the very prior was that you need to take North Webster out because nobody has signed. And so I sent a little letter to them explaining some of their issues. And for some reason, 2 weeks later, I get an approval.
So could we have a motion? Did we have a motion? I don't think we had a motion yet. We were asking questions.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Ed.
Thank you, Ed.
Congratulations on being the Grand Marshal.
Yes, that
Yes.
was an excellent pictures.
good pictures.
Parade Marshal. Oh, you weren't grand? Wait a minute, you weren't grand? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
I want to tell you, everybody I've heard him talk to about it he said that it was his wife. It wasn't really him, it was his wife. So I think you might have shared that fairly equally, Ed. Steve Snyder, I think it's your turn. Louis Dreyfus.
Thank you. I'll tell you, none of you are close enough to your microphone. For those of
really?
us who are hearing impaired,
Oh, please.
these things leave a lot to be desired, let's put it that way. But anyway, I'm here for Louis Dreyfus because you're looking at the various CF1 forms for Louis Dreyfus, at this point going back to 2013, I think is the oldest one. I think I've been involved with Dreyfus and in front of this council since 2006. And that means that the initial request for tax abatement has long since gone, and they're still out there supporting the community with their tax dollars, without a doubt. And as we move along, you're going to see these abatements, another one fall off next year, and continuing on. And I'll be honest with you, I'm in discussions with them for additional expansions. There's some competition among the Dreyfus various plants for where these things go, but this county has supported Dreyfus so well, you've got a leg up on getting those new expansions here. But I'm here in an attempt to answer any questions you have on the CF1 forms. One of the things I will tell you is that over the 16 years I've been doing this for Dreyfus, they've had a change in personnel a couple times. They're relatively consistent, but they've changed personnel. And for some reason, I then get the phone call that says, how do we do this? And the current representative handling these tax matters is a gentleman by the name of Brent Harrell. And I have spent several hours with him on the phone. The original records were in Connecticut, and now he's in Kansas, and we're trying to get those all coordinated. So I made copies of everything I had, including the resolutions with the SB1s attached, so that he could complete these CF1 forms better than they have been in the past. Well, I think we made about a 50% or 60% improvement, but they're still not perfect.
Yeah.
I didn't see them until about 2 days ago, and I just didn't have a chance to even think about going back and filling in the blank spaces that are there. One of the things I think you can be assured about is they have met what they said they would do and exceeded it in all but one of these, and that was on a personal property matter. And I think they caught up with it on the next one when they exceeded what their representations would be in the SB1. So it's unusual from the standpoint that you have 8 CF1 forms to look at. But I think it's also unusual from the standpoint that you're now seeing the full tax bill coming in for the original investment for 6 years now, and additional investments planned, and that's because of the treatment you've provided to Dreyfus.
And they certainly have been a good partner.
Yes.
And I checked, and their taxes are paid, so we're good. We're good with that part. I think John has one thing he wanted to point out on the one that's the 1/1 of 2016.
Yeah, it was just a mathematical error on the resolution number, and it was a real property, resolution number 2017-08-10-001. And then under cost and values, under cost, the net value upon completion of project shows it at $72,033. I'm sorry, $72,033,733, and it should be 62 million.
So when they added 50 and 12, they got 72 instead of 62.
Right.
What can I say?
Yeah.
And
We still came out okay on that one, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
then the other one was on personal property, Steve, and two of them have the same assessed values on them, which seems not quite right.
Well, it's always difficult, and I've tried to do this a couple times to check things. And trying to find the personal property assessed value is difficult, and especially as many abatements as there have been for Dreyfus, you're not real sure which personal property to pick up off the 103.
Which one fell with which one, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And I don't honestly know how the assessor gets through those and makes those calculations, but they do. And it isn't easy because at least historically, Dreyfus has filed a combined 103.
103,
and
right.
you're not looking at it project by project.
Year by year by year. Yeah.
Right.
See, I remember those days. I did those. That's why I'm asking the questions. Okay. But I mean, I believe that is in substantial compliance. We know they're there. We know the people are working. We know they're bringing lots of dollars to our county because of their employees. Anybody have any questions of Steve?
So everything that they said they were going to do, they have done?
Right.
You're current with the county on your tax obligations?
Correct. They learned their lesson last year.
I make a motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'd second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank
Steve.
you.
Thanks for being patient.
I'll take the opposite side anytime.
Okay.
Okay, and Michelle, I think it's your turn to present on the KCCRVC additional appropriation.
Yes, thank you. The KCCRVC is asking for a $150,000 additional appropriation. This is to allow them to approve more grants throughout our community for different projects that they're working on. They have currently spent down their approved grant obligations, which I believe was about $238,000. They have already distributed out in our community. And with their cash balance being close to $800,000, they really took a deep look at those reserves and wanted to spend them appropriately. And this will give them the opportunity to look at other grant opportunities throughout the county.
What are the individual amounts that lead up to this figure?
Actually, this is just a lump sum to put in the line item that they thought would hold them over to the end of the year. They did at their last meeting have a large grant request from Wagon Wheel that they're working with them on getting the appropriate grant request, but they don't have really funds to distribute on anything extra. They did approve $15,000 for their website revamp, which they were super excited to receive, but they do have other needed projects that they're really focusing on capital projects to be able to help these and not operating expenses. So that's one criteria they look at pretty specifically in awarding additional grants.
Now, is this really in line with what it was intended to be used for?
Yes.
I mean, I was under the impression it was intended to bring visitors into our county.
The key word that we discuss when it's KCCRVC is heads and beds. So all the organizations that come before that commission to request these grant funds have to show how many heads they're putting in beds at the hotels, because the hotel tax, the innkeeper's tax, is how we've generated this income to support KCCRVC. We had a low-income year, which was 2020, but this tax specifically, other than the highway gas tax, this tax was hit first during COVID and was hit hard. It went down, but then this is also the first tax that recuperated that loss. So for the year 2021, it exceeded 2019, pre-COVID, and 2022 is exceeding 2021. So we are bringing people into our community. This commission does support those events that bring people in and put those heads in beds, and they just want to do more of it because that cash balance did bounce back so quickly after COVID.
I do have a question. When they changed their focus from heads and beds to more of an infrastructure project, how was that decision arrived at? Do you know? It just seems like they went from one to another in a very short period of time.
They want to be able to do their best to sustain the projects that we currently have going, to support festivals, but really focus on the fact that we're bringing in people from outside of our county and that people are staying in our hoteliers to help recoup that income. So a lot of the infrastructure things that they have purchased here lately has been a $40,000 mower for CCAC so they can keep their grounds. So again, they can continue to bring in those teams that will add to this cash balance. The infrastructure projects, if they can approve those, they will continue over time to generate more income than just the one-time, really promotional materials. They do grant for promotional items. We have several grants that we have focused on. We do advertising grants for festivals at about $500 each. We've done the basketball at Grace. I don't know this.
NCCAA.
Yes, yes, so we've supported that, and that was not infrastructure, but it was really to help support them and that event, because again, it did bring in so many people from outside of the county. So that's a huge thing that they do look at, but not the only thing with the heads and beds. But they have found that focusing not on operational expenses, but more on the event or those capital expenditures, they get a bigger return on their investment.
Okay, I didn't realize they were running parallel. I was just surprised when they said, I mean, because full disclosure, I was there for the wagon wheel as a board member when they requested and said, we don't want to, fund. And what they were asking for, just for the record, is that they wanted $80,000 to house the people, actors and actresses, and support people that come in for the Christmas play. And they said that instead of paying that, which would then in turn be used to pay for the hotels, to keep the cast members and all the support people, they would have preferred if they had come and asked for a project. And it just surprised everybody that.
And that big project is the White Hill Manor.
Correct.
Whereas if we take that $80,000 request and put into the infrastructure improvements into that building, it will continue to give and give and give instead of the one-time shot of paying the hotels for this one event. So that's really what they have been looking at, again, getting away from general operating and utilizing those dollars for the biggest bang of the buck so we can continue to reap those benefits for those.
Yeah.
And the other big boost in their funding was the Airbnbs. The state started collecting taxes through the Airbnb process.
Oh.
And that is not quite equal to what we get for hotels here, but it's
Close.
it's challenging, it's close. So that helped them with revenue as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I wasn't trying to put you on the spot.
No,
I just,
you're fine.
I've had that question and I haven't found anybody to ask that question to, so.
Okay.
Michelle, I had a question, and I think I asked it last year, either of you or somebody from the board, but I've had a few brain cells die since then. Are grants taken on a certain cycle, or are they taken as they come up? Are they quarterly, or,
They meet every other month, and every time they meet, if somebody has submitted a grant application, we will review that at the very next meeting. So typically, especially a lot of our reoccurring grant applications, they know when the budget's approved, and they're usually at those meetings so they can see the amount that is approved for grants. So typically, the very first meeting, when it's hot off the presses and those dollars are available, the first 1 or 2 meetings of the year are usually pretty busy, and that's why at this point in the year, a lot of what they had budgeted for '22 has already been expended or obligated because the first couple meetings are so heavy. But then as we encourage different organizations to come and utilize these dollars, we wanted to make them available.
And I have to give kudos to them for thinking about releasing or asking to release more dollars.
Yes.
So should I abstain from voting, or does it matter? I don't know. Okay, thank you.
I'd make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Right, thank you.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
So the next order of business is to discuss the park board and trying to get it established. Joni, Kim, and John have volunteered to serve. Are they all still smiling? Okay. Have volunteered to serve on the committee to interview candidates for the council appointment to this newly created Parks and Recreation Board. So at this point, the expectation is that the committee will make a recommendation to the council at our July 14th meeting. And after our July 14th meeting, prior to the end of July, that board will have their first meeting and can get started on writing their policies and doing all those things that they're going to have as tasks to do. So we have a list of names. The commissioners have an appointment, Michelle has an appointment, and at some point, we would probably like to try and coordinate that, maybe to get everybody together so that we could interview, you could interview those people and come up with those people that will be great representatives to make this park board happen. Thank you to Carrie for all your efforts in making this happen,
Yes.
because, yeah, well deserved.
It's been on the agenda for a while, so thanks.
And we're always looking for applications, so if anybody's out there you know of, and Just a reminder, our appointment takes a Republican and a Democrat.
Right, right. We have to have both parties represented.
Or no, any combination.
Well, all
I asked that
together.
question, yeah.
Yeah,
Can't be all one-sided.
right,
It can be independents, though.
right,
And
right.
then
Could be
Sue Ann,
others.
did you check in the bylaws or the policy in regards to elected officials or just the council and commissioner elected officials? Do you?
I believe it's any elected official. Do you know for sure, Carrie?
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So you'll have
Review
to
our
be sure to
list,
review the list to be sure we're not interviewing those people that couldn't qualify. So I thank you guys for being willing to take that on. So the next item I have to discuss is the county council's budget, because we need to approve our budget so that I can get it sent to the auditor. So I looked at what we were already spending for personnel. We were at $64,323, and with a 5% increase, that would be $67,540. Legal services, we're adding $5,000. We agreed, I think we've talked about that at different meetings, that we need to add legal services. $500 for mileage, fuel, and travel. We go to conferences and educational experiences. And then the meetings and travel, that covers the lodging and other charges for those meetings. And then the dues at $200, and the County Council Association's dues will not raise. So the proposed money would be $77,240, I believe.
I just have one question for clarification. Michelle, have we blown through have we utilized more expenses than we have budget for the educational opportunities? I didn't know how close we were on that.
We have been utilizing those dollars all year. We had an AIC conference in the spring. AIC continues to have learning opportunities on a monthly basis that several of you have attended. At this point, you have your annual meeting, June 24th, 25th, because it's always on my wedding anniversary. And I know most of you have registered to attend. So your current balances will cover all current training and your conference. I will balance that account out after your conference to see what is left, because I know there is an AIC meeting in the fall, and I will let you guys know what dollars you have available so you can figure out who would be best to attend that event.
Thank you.
Okay, does anybody have any questions on those figures? Are we good with those, or do you want?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve those figures to be sent to the auditor for the part of the budget. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. Okay, the next thing on the list that I have, and this is off of the scheduled list because we had a few things here that we needed to clean up. The soil and water, they are revamping their offices, changing some duties around. They have asked if we would send their job descriptions to Wagner and Shealy to try to figure out what category their newly revised job descriptions might make people fit in. Does anybody have any thoughts on what we do with this? The Wage Committee has looked at it, and we thought one way, and then we thought another way, and so we're just coming back to you guys saying, help us figure out which one.
How many
to do.
positions they're requesting?
They have 3 that are their normal, already in the budget positions. They'd asked for a 4th, however, I believe that 4th one, they may not be moving forward with that.
Well, the conversation I had 2-3 hours ago was that they really need the 3 positions. The 4th is a want. I don't know that it's a need at this point in time. So I would suggest we put the 4 off for another year. Take a look at it again. Because, you know, a
The
lot of.
4th position, yeah.
Correct. A lot of
right.
things can happen within 12 months. While I think it's probably an important position, eventually, since I was informed that we would really like to have 3. We can do without the 4th. I just feel that's the way we ought to go.
Well, and I'll just speak for myself. I don't know that right now is the time for us to be adding other employees in areas that are not vitally necessary. Not saying it's not a necessary job, but it's not one of our primary positions that we need to look at. So that gets us down to 3 positions. And the issue is that the girl, Darcy, is looking at retiring. And so if she retires, that means there's going to be a change in the configuration of the office, and that's the reason why they've requested the job descriptions to be rewritten.
Could we, upon receiving an actual notice, present the information to Wagner or Wynn and Shealy as far as going forward instead of a hypothetical, since we really don't know time-wise? Would that be okay, or do we need to do it before then?
Well, part of the issue, as I understand it, is that she does plan to retire by the end of the year. And, you know, for budget preparation, they need to know
Right.
what numbers to put in there. If you guys tell me what you want us to do. I mean, we can, Joni and I and Kathy are on the wage committee. I mean, maybe we can sit down and take a deeper dive into them.
Well, if we budget exactly the same, even if we replace someone who has seniority, that means we will be spending less money. Wouldn't that be logical?
Probably.
Should be.
Probably, but once they've split up Darcy's
Right.
job, because that's what they're doing, they're moving her duties to various places, that position that Darcy has, even without seniority, is probably not going to be paid to that level, would be my, I mean, in what I've read of the
Now,
I guess, is
descriptions.
she not one of the 3 then?
Yes, she is one of the 3.
So
But
you're
they've
gonna-
rewritten all of the job descriptions, and her job has been a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit left behind on the 3rd person. So where she was the office manager, the office do everything, they're splitting those duties up, which I think might be a reduction in wage for that particular position, is what I'm saying.
Well, then would there only be
Right.
2 people?
Then, I was gonna say, wouldn't there only be 2 people then, if they split her position?
No, because the 3rd person is keeping some of the duties, but they are not going to be the person that's done everything that Darcy does. I mean, Darcy has her, you know, she's busy with lots of stuff, so.
now it's my understanding that from their representative that I spoke to today, that it's already been submitted to Wagner Urban Shealy?
No, they gave us the information.
Okay.
And we looked over it, and the day that they came to speak to the wage committee, their big push was this was going to be a salesman for the farmer, for the 4th person, but very little was talked about rewriting, and, I mean, they requested it, but
Right.
they didn't expand on exactly what those job description changes were. If you girls have other thoughts,
No.
jump in.
Well, no, the discussion seemed to be more around that 4th
Yeah.
person and not
Yeah.
around revamping job descriptions.
Right.
And
Well,
So
maybe
they
we-
need to make the formal request, that here is what we need.
Well, they did. They submitted it to the wage committee.
Because I think there's some confusion there with this individual. Because he was kind of asking me about when can we expect this? I don't have a thing to do
Well,
with it.
don't-
I'm not on the wage committee.
Maybe we
You'll
need to
ask
have
one
it
of
in
them.
writing, exactly what they have as their job descriptions, and
What we do
then-
have.
we do
Oh,
have
We
that.
do have, that's
Oh,
what,
But that would be pending her retiring.
yeah.
well,
And we don't
I
have anything.
can't imagine, why would we be changing until she retires?
Well, because
Good
we're not
point.
going to change it right now. They're
Right.
trying to prepare for the budget for the following year.
Right.
That's what their question is.
I would, I mean, my suggestion is that we just let them submit their budget based on the percentage increase that we asked with the positions they currently have, because we're not going, it doesn't look to me like there will be an additional position added, because it is not a critical position at this point, and I totally concur with what you said. But I also think that the money that is currently being paid could be redistributed if
Correct.
necessary. And when you look at changing things on paper, it's not reality. a lot of times, because you'll find that someone's not qualified to do something you thought was going to be. I'd just like to give this a pause and let it shake out. I would like to hold off on sending anything to Wagner, Irwin, and Shealy, because there is a cost attached to that, and just see how it progresses. If she does, in fact, submit her retirement paperwork, and then give them some time.
Is that a motion?
Was it-
Absolutely.
Second.
What, can I make a comment?
So
Wasn't
you're-
there a policy set forth that the council adopted a month or two ago? I don't remember, but there's certain protocol that hiring new people or asking for new people, and then before we go and ask Irwin Shealy to look at it, that protocol needs to be followed.
Right, and that was why it's coming back to
So this is
here,
in the right
because the
step right
wage
now?
committee, yeah, this
Okay.
is, we're on the steps. The wage committee, we looked at it, we thought one thing, and then we thought about it and rethought it and thought maybe that wasn't such a good decision after all.
Okay.
You know, when hearing both sides of it now, I'm positive that there's some confusion in all this, that I think that needs to be clarified with that office.
Yeah, yes.
So at this point, we're saying we're not sending to Wagner and Shealy. If I'm hearing what you're saying, we're not sending it to Wagner and Shealy at this point, for them to go ahead and submit their budget as they have in the past. And if there are salary variables, they can be adjusted after they get their ducks in a row.
After she does
People
retire.
where they want them,
Well,
yeah.
And define true
Exactly.
responsibilities
You can
within that
divide
office.
the amount for that department among those people dependent on the responsibilities that they take.
Okay.
So we just need to vote.
I second.
Yeah.
Did we?
We have a motion and a
Okay, we have a
second.
motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Yeah, we all got confused.
No
on
one,
this
I'm
one, didn't we?
sorry.
No,
That
it's
one
not you.
Drug on and got complicated. Okay, then I have people for the Strategic Planning Committee. John Garber and Kim Cates and I were appointed when we didn't really think we were going to be doing a strategic planning meetings, but that's the people that were named. And so we will need to schedule a meeting sometime the 13th of June to the 17th of June to try to get things worked out, to get a strategic plan on a couple of issues put together. That was an announcement more than anything, okay? Does not require any activity or action. Okay, moving right along. The ARPA, we met today for the ARPA meeting, and do you want to share that with us, Michelle, first, and then we'll...
Absolutely. So the ARPA committee met today and they reviewed 5 separate grant applications from the IT department. All of you should have received copies of those grants as well as an updated ARPA funding sheet in your packet that looks like this. So would you like for me to go through those applications individually? Or just in summary?
I was at the meeting.
I was at the meeting.
Or if you can just do summary.
Summary.
Okay. So in the 5 grant applications provided by IT, those 5 grants total $203,880.13. So those, in reviewing those, we did keep in mind the mission statement for the ARPA committee, and it's for the long-term investment in our community. So that was discussed on every single one of these issues. Most of them are hardware or software needed to maintain our buildings, maintain all of our IT stuff, and then add new security to our email services. So we'll possibly have a secured email on every single email in the county, as far as I understand. So it was unanimous on every single one of these 5 that the ARPA committee recommended to push those forward to council for approval. If the council does approve, they're actually given a recommendation to the county commissioners that will hear it in a few weeks. And if they approve, it will come back in front of you at your July 14th meeting for the additional appropriation. So that way, our IT department can move forward with these requests.
Now, I guess the one question I have is on the last one, the emails, security emails. that is more of a subscription, annual subscription fee. Is that my understanding of that? And then I think it was talked about possibly putting money in escrow
Yes,
to
so,
cover that.
yes, so initially the request was for a one-year subscription fee of about $23,000. $3,000 was the initial fee, but I think about $20,000 was for that annual subscription. So we did increase that to be a 5-year. Because of the way those ARPA funds have to be obligated and then expended, we probably budgeted low a little bit on purpose. So once we get into that 5th year, if there's not enough ARPA funds to fulfill that payment, general funds or other funds that the commissioners have will jump in and make that 5th year whole. So yes, this would be an additional fee that we would pay for our Google email to allow us to have these secure email streams, but this would be an annual expense thereafter.
So this escrow account would run past 26, and if so, does it qualify?
We would only sign the agreement and obligate those funds till the end of 26.
Right.
So in us approving this, we are setting aside funds that have to be obligated by 24, but spent out by 12/31 of 26.
Right. So if there's funds left in this escrow account we're talking about, what would happen to that? I mean, obviously, we don't get in a position where we have to pay anything back.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. The next few years are going to be very interesting as far as the ARPA funds, because again, they all have to be obligated by December 31st of 24. So as we get closer, we're going to have to take a look at the balances in every single one of those accounts to ensure that we are going forward and are planning on spending every one of those dollars. And if they are not going to be, we have to figure that out in 24 so we can back them out and obligate them for another purpose, because if not, there's money left on the table, it will go back to the Department of Revenue in 27.
And that's that's a acceptable method.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is a requirement of those funds.
Okay.
That was a very good explanation.
Thank you.
And you were at the meeting, so you
And
did-
I actually understand it.
Good, good, that's great. So,
I was at the meeting, and I thought they handled the questions well. In all the scenarios, I think were pretty well talked out. I would make a motion to approve the recommendation of the ARPA committee.
I'll second.
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Right.
Motion carried. So I think the next step is Michelle is going to share with us a little bit about the plan for moving forward with cybersecurity within the confines of the auditor's office.
Absolutely. I wanted to give each
But
of,
before you do that,
Okay.
I want to read something, I want to say something. Before she presents her basic information on that ACH information, as a former auditor, I want to clarify that the process for making payments starts with the department where that bill originated. They have the first line connectivity with the company's billing department. The department verifies the bill is true and correct, and they must sign off on all bills that are processed. Then it goes to the auditor's office for process, and from there, Michelle's going to explain how that whole ACH process is going to work going forward.
absolutely. I wanted to give you each an update on our ACH process and the internal controls associated with that process. So over the past several weeks, we have utilized every resource that we have available to us that I can think of. We have talked to council, commissioners, department heads, State Board of Accounts, Sheriff's Department. We have really utilized every resource that, again, I can possibly think of to review our current policy and make the appropriate updates. So with our new policy, we have put in several points of personal verification that people from my office or the department head will personally reach out to verify vendor information as well as account numbers. We also have a step in the process that We will work with the bank and send out test files and verify, again, personally with those vendors that they have received those exact amounts. So this updated policy has been reviewed and distributed to every department within the county. We are accepting feedback from them because any feedback is welcome at this point. This is a document that is not going to be put on the shelf and allowed for dust to lay on it at all. This is a living, breathing document. We will be reviewing this on a quarterly basis and have welcomed anybody on any additional controls that they feel like we should have in place. We very much so welcome their input because not one of us is smarter than all of us. And we're doing the best that we can, trying to secure this policy to really make sure going forward, the accuracy is always there as far as these ACH distributions.
Does anybody have any questions of Michelle?
Just to thank you for all your hard work on
Yes.
this.
Yes.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
This has been, a very difficult time for our county, and I would really like to thank the council, the commissioners, the department heads for their support in reviewing these processes and trusting other processes will go through. Still very proud to work for this county and understand that we did address the process failures. These will be shared with the State Board of Accounts. I did hear from them today initially at our entrance conference. We did disclose this as we are required to do and had a conversation with 4 people from the State Board of Accounts. And since this activity happened in 2022, they let me know that it would not affect my 21 audit. But when I spoke with them today, they have changed their mind on that. So it will occur, and you will see as our audit this year is concluded, there will be a statement in there. They do know we've addressed it. They do know that we have updated our internal controls and added these extra safeguards, and that will be implemented in our corrected action plan with the State Board of Accounts this year.
As we move forward, how will this affect our rating?
The county is pretty fortunate that we don't have a lot of debt. I don't anticipate long-term this affecting our credit rating. Trying to find the right words. Percentage-wise, this is a great loss that everybody here takes to heart.
Sorry.
But this is something that the plan is going to take care of. And if we follow the plan and the department heads, I came and spoke to them on Thursday. The department heads bought into it, and I think they understood it. And I think I want to read the rest of what I presented to the department heads to share with you where we are at in this whole process right now. So bear with me. I have copies here for the council to hold in your hot little hands. I'm going to get organized here. Okay, so the fraud refunds, the fraud funds replacement. Because the county council is the fiscal body of the county, we are responsible for budgets, appropriations, setting tax rates, along with several other tasks that are directly or indirectly related to finances in the county. Appropriating funds is one of those tasks. While the county council is not involved in any way in this loss of or theft of funds, the county council must be the body to address how we fund the loss. I know there has been a lot of talk about the loss of the money, including the who, what, where, when, and why. The information is still an ongoing investigation in the hands of the authorities, and aside from funding the payment to the vendor, no further action can or will be taken by the county council at this particular time pending the receipt of the completed investigation report. Now for the history where the money came from that was taken. This is an issue of no good deed goes unpunished. The payment was from federal ARPA funds that were approved to purchase radios for each of the fire departments in the county due to the changes that the county made to enhance radio coverage. Technically, this was federal money, but when it came to our bank, it became our money and obviously our responsibility. Tonight, what I'm going to ask is that the county council consider approving us to advertise an additional appropriation to be considered at the July council meeting in the amount of $313,951.90 from the rainy day fund to replace the stolen money. This will require legal advertising to take this step, so we cannot finalize it tonight. The current rainy day fund balance is $3.681 million, and it has remained untouched since 2017. By making this transaction, it will make the ARPA money whole. Once the account is made whole, a payment can be issued to the vendor for the same amount to pay that outstanding debt from the ARPA money, from the rainy day money. After reading the comments made by so many people when it hit the internet, there are many people that do not understand how government works or the interactions of them. First and foremost, I want to assure you that Mayor Joe Talmer did not take any of this money, nor did he have any part in this. And believe it or not, that was one of the most common things mentioned in the comments. So I want to set the record straight. The city and the county governments are not interchangeable. That was one of the comments that really, really bothered me, because I understand, being associated with this issue, that the county council had absolutely nothing to do with, but Joe, like the county council, had nothing in it. I have read and heard comments about taxes being raised to cover the stolen money. I want to make it clear that I have given a great deal of thought to this proposal that I'm making tonight. The rainy day fund is money that was set aside when there was a large income tax settlement, when the state held too much money from the county's income tax distribution back when I was the auditor in 2003. The original intent for this money was to supplement the income tax receipts should there ever be a serious income tax shortfall while we were still paying on the jail bond for the building across the street. That debt obligation is long behind us, and so it is no longer an issue. This money has been safeguarded to be spent for emergencies. Therefore, it has been accumulated and has not been touched only for very specific items. I can guarantee you that repaying the stolen money from the rainy day fund will have zero impact on property taxes. I want to repeat that. I guarantee you that repaying this stolen money from the rainy day fund will have zero impact on property taxes. There is no tax rate for the rainy day fund, and I have paperwork here to show what the county's tax rate is set by, and there is no rainy day funds because that money is already in the bank. I want everyone to understand that this is taxpayers' money, absolutely, but it is not going to affect the property tax process. But even though it is income tax dollars and has no bearing on the tax rate, if we take this step tonight and agree that we're going to advertise and that we're going to approve it out of the rainy day fund, I cannot guarantee that property taxes will not increase, but I can guarantee you that they will not increase because of this loss. Taxes vary from year to year for various reasons. Taxes may go up because individual assessments went up due to the housing demand, the strong selling, the inflated prices, and the assessors are required by law to make those adjustments to your values. Taxes may go up because the assessed value of farm ground has increased from $1,250 to $1,500. a big hit for the farmer per acre, but that will have nothing to do with this money loss. Taxes may go up because of annexations and the creation of new TIF districts that capture all of the assessed value of new structures, which then slows the growth of our assessed value, which helps reduce our tax rate. Taxes may go up if property had a mortgage on it and had filed for a mortgage exemption, but is owned by a non-full-time resident, a non-permanent resident of Kosciuszko County, as the mortgage exemption was eliminated by the state legislature and was combined with the homestead credit that the non-full-time residents cannot claim and cannot receive. It's not a whole lot. It was a $3,000 exemption. $3,000 times the tax rate might be $30 to $50. It's not a huge amount, but that could be an additional issue. Taxes may go up if additions were done to your house, or if you lost exemptions for other reasons, you no longer could qualify for them. So there are various other reasons why your taxes could possibly go up. But the bottom line that I want everybody to understand at this is that this is not going to affect property tax. And as Michelle mentioned, she had spoken with the State Board of Accounts, and she had shared the idea and how this could play out. And she had set the whole thing down and had actually explained the whole thing. And one of the responses back was, you have a great plan. I think this sounds like a reasonable plan. If and when the county is able to recoup any of the lost money, we could put it back into the rainy day fund, which will then make it more whole. So I believe that if we take this step, I think we can at least start to put this piece behind us and hope that at some point in the future, we'll be able to recoup some of our money.
I would make a motion to approve the advertisement for this plan. And go
Second.
forward.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And finishing with that, I want to say to Michelle, thank you very much for all your dedication and all the hard work you've done to make this happen, honey.
That's right. Thank you. I want to address Mike's question. I want to apologize for my emotion. That's how much
I'm
I
sorry
love
that
and
I
serve
made
this
you
county.
become emotional.
You guys know, my heart is on my sleeve, and it has been here for more than 23 years, and so it will continue. But as far as your question on debt, this is a large sum of money. It is $314,000. But looking at our annual budget and the dollars that go in and out of this county, it's around 65 million. So the percentage of loss that we have seen with this fraud, I don't believe will make a significant impact when we are reviewed. That, in addition to the process and plans that we have in place, I think we should be able to secure our current bond rating.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
I would like to say. First, I should turn on my mic. I would like to say that I'm very sad for you that the auditors did not take into consideration how forthright you were. You did not have to report this. They could have found out about it next year when they came into audit. And it breaks my heart that you are going to take the brunt of it.
Well, just remember, I'm here in 22, even though they're not going to audit me till 23. So
Right.
I actually feel better that I am here, that I can personally answer any question that the State Board of Accounts has, that, because next year I will not be, since I'm termed out. I will be gone at the end of this year. So I am more confident that I can relay to them our process changes. We can have that corrective action plan in place, because I'm here to answer that instead of putting that burden on the next auditor who hasn't been in the middle of the situation. So I thank you for that, but this is what we do, and in full transparency, this is what the State Board of Accounts comes in to do, and they do hold us accountable and help us generate that plan so going forward, we don't continue to have an issue like this.
And that is why you are such a benefit to this county,
That's right.
because you are a wonderful person.
Yes.
And Michelle, We will miss you so very much. I
Yes.
wish you could not term out, I really do.
I'm not going to say that right now. But thank you.
Okay, moving right along. Anybody have anything really specific that you want to tell about? I think Kim has a brief thing.
I have one that'll take about 20 seconds, and I attended the electric vehicle INDOT infrastructure rollout plan for charging stations with the you have a couple slides, and of course, Michelle was able to make them look beautiful because I just took them with my phone. And it just shows a diagram of the original thought process in the EV charging stations. And what has happened is Indiana got about $100 million with the infrastructure plan that was just passed, just earlier this year. And so they are beginning to do an overview of where they want to place these charging stations. And unfortunately, US 30 is not on there because they're doing interstates, US 31, I-469, and I-265. On one of these slides, though, it does have the URL, so the contact information, and they're going to have other meetings and so forth. I actually, have discussed this with Mayor Tolmer, and I know that he's on this. But it was quite interesting. It just talks about the key requirements and so forth. They want to have a station every 50 miles. But most of the stations are on north-south venues. So anyway, I don't want to take up a lot of time, but it was quite interesting. And so they're working on it, and they're going to have a couple of their meetings. And I think they have to have everything in place by August or September to submit to the federal government for the funds, so.
And obviously, this is not probably the last we're going to hear about electric vehicles.
No.
Anybody else have anything interesting that you really want to share?
I do have
Not
one.
that everything's not
The
interesting.
help meeting was great.
Well, I do have something interesting, though, having to do with MACOG. I went to MACOG yesterday, and I just think this is important to let everyone know this. There is a EPA Clean School Bus Program that they are initiating, and there were 5 different school districts that were eligible for higher awards for buses, and the buses would be for electric buses or propane, any of the, energy savings technology that they have. Anyway, so Tippy Valley and Triton are 2 of the schools that qualify for that higher amount.
Nice.
And the higher amount is $375,000 per bus, and the total cost of a bus would be about $420,000. So that's pretty significant. They thought Tippy Valley might be a really good candidate because they've done some other
Innovative things.
innovative technologies at their schools. So anyway, I just wanted to get that out there because I didn't write down the date, but I'm thinking that the date is around, I think it's August 19th, that you need to apply for it, and it's just based upon a lottery system. So it's a simple procedure to apply. And anyway,
Good to know.
yeah.
Good to
So
know.
anyway, I thought that was important to pass on.
Anybody have anything else you want to share?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. You just have to stay all night by yourself.
Yes, I will. How much does
Do
it cost?
do you need
to get a dog? How much, what are your fees to adopt an animal? Just curious. Okay. Just curious. Well, I'm not really in the, I've got 2 dogs right now. Okay. I know, I think we adopted some cats before and paid like $50 for them at the time, but it's been a while. Yeah, it sounds really great. Thank you.